and it doesn't look
Now
like
it
my
is.
visuals are set, so I'm gonna go ahead and fix that.
Alright, good luck,
Alright.
guys. I'll be on mute.
Alright, cool beans.
Who the heck put elevator music in the song request?
Alright,
Dang it!
let's see here.
You know what? I'm gonna just go ahead and like restart the song just because it kind of feels like we gotta wait for. And elevator music is the right kind of music to listen to while we wait to set things up.
Ardix Entertainment is hosting MJ Girthy right now.
Oh right, because
Cancel that.
she's a verified partner on her on her MMO channel, and her personal channel is where people follow her to for her other streams since she's like popular on the MMO channel. Probably got to change the host though.
Hosts. It's just automatically hosts.
Okay, alright. Cool beans.
Alright.
So, alright, I'm gonna mute myself here, but I'm gonna tell my stream what's going on and all that jazz.
Yeah, you do that.
Same here. Same here.
Same here. Okay, have I played Animal Crossing New Horizons? No, I have not. I don't have it on my Switch yet, but thank you for asking, though. There's a lot of Switch games that I should have, and none of them get discounted well because Nintendo. I have to change up my visuals real quick. Overlay essentials. Can't wait to be off this X264 thing. Because... There we go. Alright, chatbot. Commands. I'm gonna turn that off. Song request, I'm gonna turn that off. Okay, so the current song should now be in Nightbot. Perfect. So I have to go back and forth between. Oh my god, who just subbed to the channel? Poogies!
Spooky indeed.
No, I said Poogies because we got a Cast W Art who subscribed with Twitch. Wait, I've not seen you use Twitch Prime for me before. Since when? Airhorn's in the chat regardless.
Nice.
I can't spell airhorn. I cannot English right now. Yep, as always, Charfade, enjoy these sub benefits in this whole long list I'm sure you're well aware of now.
So, I guess we should take like a few minutes. Let's introduce everyone what we are at least somewhat
Hi, how
known
are
for,
ya?
right? Because we're on almost everyone's stream, or is the stream?
I'm almost done setting up mine. I just need to make sure the visuals are a-okay at the
Okay.
moment.
Hi, how are you?
Please turn his volume down. Is he that loud?
Whose volume? Oh yeah, mine.
My desktop audio wasn't even on.
I'm like at the appropriate distance between my mic and...
Yeah, no,
yeah.
you're good. Hey, Kiba.
You know what,
All right,
keep
so
it... Wait, let me lower the
everyone
music
knows
volume.
who I am. We're listening. Artigo, pleasure to have you here.
Alright, is the music loud enough? Is everybody's voices loud enough? Dang it, I have to like toggle everybody's volumes here.
So,
Let's see.
oh boy,
Alright, let me check your volume first, Valors. I think you should be fine.
I should be fine. He sounds 5 decibels louder than you are. How do you? Well, oh yeah, probably because I have him loud.
You can
No tend to-
hide from the Keeb. That's true. We can't hide from Kiba.
He's like really close to his mic though. That's the. If he sounds like his mic's about to blow out, that's because he's right there.
Who? Me?
Alright.
Because I know, like, I sound loud even though I'm like the...
No, yeah, you're fine. You're fine now. He was wondering like why the
Yeah, because, like, I've been advised to do the hang loose sign between the position of my mouth and position on my pop filter, and people still say I'm loud, so I don't know if, like, a professional voice actor's advice is dud or something. That's just voiceover 101, but I don't know anymore.
what's voiceover 101?
Because, the appropriate distance...
Oh, the whole fist to the mic thing?
No, not the whole fist, the whole hang loose sign. So your pinky is on the pop filter, your thumb is the position of where your mouth should be. Unless it's the position of the
Hey.
pop filter.
Listen, I've talked into my mic enough to know like how my throat and my mic react towards each other.
I'm sure you do.
I've had to work without a pop filter before. You ever do that trick where you like jerk your head to the right every time you have to go puh? You just puh every time. It looks weird when you're doing it, but it has a pretty good result. Anyways, so
Let's get started, yeah.
I'm all right. I don't know if we're started on the Arctics stream yet.
That is not for me.
Well, anyways, I'm gonna talk to my group for a second.
Cora, can you go play that in your bunk bed?
Why?
Because I'm gonna be on a microphone.
Hi, Corin. What microphone?
This microphone.
The Baghdaddy has appeared. I must put on the hat. Wait, not the hat, the bag.
I've been lurking.
The bag. I mean the bag.
Ready?
Hold on.
Does it work? Okay.
Where's my... okay, this is the right bag. There we go, there we go. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and flex on my screen with the levitate.
This man has a levitate ability?
I have my wings of power. You Varus, you're on camera. No, don't leave me. Okay, my frames are coming in and out. Hopefully this should be a problem with my new graphics card. Hopefully. Anyway, that's beside the point.
Can you guys hear him? Oh, I gotta make sure this is. Can you guys hear Nintendo fine? Kiana, you're also gonna be talking, bud. So
I
I
can
need.
hear him fine.
Well, no. I need to make sure my stream. They're saying that apparently Nintendo is over voicing me. You can't hear me? What?
Just
Set
individually
Nintendo's
lower
user
him
volume
and-
down to 90.
Yeah, that would probably help. Again, I am like supposedly the correct distance according to a professional voice actor between my pop filter and my microphone, and people say I still sound loud. Maybe it's because I'm not in a sound booth.
If you're real close to it like this, it's gonna do that. You gotta back away. You have to just project.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If I project though, then the neighbors aren't gonna come. It'd be
The
like,
co-host is louder than you are. Yeah.
no, I'm just gonna like yank out my headphones and like let the baby hear everybody else talking.
Everyone except you are a bit loud. I think it's that. Hold on.
You could just bring my user volume down because I have to like project, and plus I'm wearing bass boosted headphones, so I can't easily hear myself as well. This is a pretty important. This is the. Now this is gonna become a test to my ears now.
That's so weird. Why is... That is weird. Even though I have you turned down, you are louder than me. What the hell? Hold on.
I'm looking at my. What is it? I'm checking my mixer settings, and they seem okay.
Maybe your soundboard. Yeah, just turn them down. That's the thing is I did that. Oh my goodness. I know exactly what the problem is. All right.
Okay, what happened?
I guess give us a thumbs up or tell us when we're good to go and start talking.
I'm gonna do the social media thing in the meantime.
I don't understand. No. Oh my goodness. There's so many issues right now. I don't know why.
Charfate said it's. I don't know if it's good on her end.
Does it? Well.
No worries.
So
This is bound to happen anyways.
Well, we're still going to be discussing things that are we're going to be discussing things to hopefully maybe get some improvement or some, positive things happen. I don't know. I'm bad with words.
That's all good. Like, I'm bad with words.
It's all right,
afterwards.
man.
They're pretty much amplified on my side. That's so weird. I don't know.
Nobody's saying
I mean, granted, yeah, no, I've cranked both of you guys down to volumes where I can barely hear them. Yikes. Alrighty.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
gonna be a major oof. Let me see. Oh,
It is.
I'm that loud? Oh, dear.
wait, hold on. I need to lower the
Okay.
both of you now because you guys are projecting above me on my end. Hold on.
Yeah, it's
Hi, how are you?
I hit the go live button.
all right.
Everything's still muted though, so let's just prop.
It's just probably
I'm gonna go ahead and
stream starting soon.
Hey, what's up, Spectre? Let's see. Okay. Yeah, guys, keep talking. I just want to make sure your volumes are just about right.
They're pretty quiet. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm gonna push the talk because I don't want to just have you all talking over and stuff. So
Now I got Kyo.
if I sound too loud, tell me and I can lower my mic volume if need be.
I think it's just a matter of each of us like adjusting our own volumes for each other.
pretty much.
Okay, so
We
let me-
also want to limit talking over each other as much as possible and talking over the time.
Okay, now Valor's is quiet. This is weird.
Yeah,
I think the user volume percentage thing is really weird on Discord, so
It is
Yeah.
very
it
weird,
doesn't
yeah.
make as much sense as you think. My guess is it's that logarithmic curve type, even though it looks like a solid 0 to 10.
Yep, okay,
Zero
now I gotta
volume.
bring up Corin.
It's just being weird.
Tell me about it, man. Tell me about it. There's no perfect balance between how the viewer will perceive the volume versus how the neighbors will perceive my volume versus how anybody else in the background can perceive my volume versus how my skull and my ears perceive my volume. There's no fine balance here.
Let's make it up as we go.
Okay, I think you're fine now, Kione. I think you're fine now. Just bringing you down a notch a little bit.
Which is odd because usually people have a hard time hearing me to begin with.
So what's this summit on? Well, that's actually a pretty great question. Would somebody like to answer my Spectre's question? Whenever they get a chance. Okay, this person is blocking the camera.
Modern Mark Productions.
Well, to give my answer to that question, it's gonna be on a bunch of different topics regarding this game, Adventure Quest 3D, and for the most part, the community for it, the player base, and a bunch of other stuff regarding the game, and moving forward with it. I'm close to finishing Need for Speed Payback. Nice, nice.
Alright, my tweet is out. I'm actually just gonna grab some water real fast, and then I'm gonna turn on our things. Be right back.
Tweet. I'm gonna go ahead and retweet that.
Sweet.
All right, so we got a couple tweets going on Twitter. If anybody has got the page, one of the devs corner made a tweet. I'm gonna go ahead and give him a shout out real quick. Where the heck are my frames? They just yeeted on out of here. Oh wait, my face cam is still tiny. What the heck am I doing?
All right.
All right, now keep talking with that sexy narration voice.
Whoa. Sure. All right, when we officially start, I think it's still warm up time. So.
I mean, there's always some warming up that we have to do when. Okay, I think my visuals look okay. It's just a matter of fine tuning the audio as we go along, but we should be.
Yeah.
I think we're.
I think we're good.
Yeah, I seem fine on my end. How about you guys?
Hold on. I need you to talk. They're the devs of
stream name.
Arctic. All right,
Well,
guys, I need you to tell me how their audio sounds compared to mine. I wish there was a way to listen back to it. That way I could tell if, like...
I agree, but like if you play back on your stream, it'll always be like some frames or
it'll
so
be an
behind and
infinite loop.
stuff.
Apparently.
Okay, now I gotta raise your volume, Valors.
Yeah. You're a bit quiet. I can't raise my volume any more than I have.
Okay, now you're fine on my end, Valor, so you're definitely good.
Yeah.
I think Keone is fine. I think Corrin is fine. Anybody else who needs to speak, I will listen as we go along and adjust as necessary. Tiny Tendo. Frames are the thing of the past because it will. Everybody's on here. Well, once I get a new graphics card, it shouldn't be a problem anymore because AMD's encoder is for video is not well suited for live streaming anymore. So waiting on that, but we're all here. We got Valor's voices in the chat. We got Keone, a moderator for the game and Artix Entertainment in general.
Hello.
That's him right there. He also sounds like a certain community manager, so you might get them confused, but just remember one is more quiet than the other. Cough. And we also have Corrin in the chat, so that's why I'm wearing this looks like a box, but it's actually a bag, a paper bag on my head. And we also have Charfade, one of the artist UI devs of this game. Actually, quality of life stuff. What do we have? Well, I see that we have more details on our okay. Not bad, that's something.
I'm gonna talk about myself.
Yeah,
for
introduce
like
yourself,
2
man.
seconds.
For anybody who's
Now my guys know who I am. I'm Valor's Voices. The community might know me. I did a stream a while back that was I was gonna voice act the entire game. I accomplished that goal, and then I was like, you know what? There's not enough content here. I'm gonna make a movie or at least a show on YouTube, and that didn't pan out how I wanted it to. But that got like a little bit of momentum when we were making that. So if anyone remembers Guardians and the dope voice acting that was in that was a lot of fun. But other than that, I'm just a player who wants to see improvement in a game that I think we all love and cherish. So
I absolutely 100% agree with that. With a glass of milk.
can I get water with that? What if the glass of milk isn't like my thing?
Only for making my mac and cheese recipe, yo.
I'm using the Powerade with water.
I think we're live.
Yep, I have it up.
Is
Everything is up.
Hey, Corrin,
Okay,
is
cool. Well, I have my notes here.
I hate to pull a funny at this time, but is that your #1 fan I'm hearing in the background?
Not right now.
All right. One of the things I will mention, I've taken liberty to, we're gonna make sure that we don't talk over each other. That's very crucial for this.
Right?
In addition, because our audio is a bit jank, we don't know why our audios are like all over the place. But we're gonna try and not talk over each other. We're gonna try and keep it very quick, very precise. If we have time for questions or concerns, we'll be looking at the main Artix Entertainment chat. So if you have questions when we get to it, if we have enough time, that is our goal. But for this today, what it is we are looking to improve the game, maybe get some ideas flowing, voice some concerns that the community has. Corrin and not gonna be talking for a whole bunch of this.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be allowing us hidden because I can't reliably be on camera the whole time. You know,
Wait.
yeah. it happens. So what we also won't be doing is we won't be answering. We're parenting. That's good. Let them parent. We won't be answering our own personal stream chats as much. So if you have an important question that you want to get asked or get answered when that happens from one of us that can maybe answer it or maybe give you an idea, ask it in the Artix Entertainment stream. But we appreciate you guys watching us and supporting us. You guys are amazing. Thank you. With that started, I think I'm gonna briefly run down everybody. Everyone pretty much knows everyone. Everyone knows, at least kind of remembers me. I know I took a hiatus from the community, but and I tried to make a Guardians thing that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
heard about.
Hang on. What was going on with the audio again?
Dinosaur.
Is a dinosaur?
That's my favorite Dorkosaurus dinosaur.
Yeah.
Yeah, just want to double check.
But so he's a wonderful content creator. If you don't know who he is, definitely go check him out. Along with we got Kiani in here who's gonna be talking with us. We don't have anybody else.
Oh, Keone. It's a long O.
Keone, my bad. I
Yeah, people
mispronounced
get
that.
this mixed up all the time. Don't worry.
Keone, you are a moderator for how long now?
Almost 8 years.
8 years.
Dang.
Kudos to you, man. All right.
Pox.
So we are. I'm mostly talking from the viewpoints of myself for some of these things, and we got to keep these short, quick, sweet, and all that jazz. So I'll bring up Gold Raven and Creative Life JMJs and Crossbone if he doesn't ever come in. I'd like to reserve those for the people who have their own opinions for them to share it, but they're not here right now, so I do have their notes on the matter. We talked about it in depth. So let's let's start with our first topic. We're going to be discussing about the community at the moment. One of that is wonderful. We will say, or one of the things we've noticed from a lot of players is they want to see more main game content.
Agreed, yeah.
They want to see more main game content, and overall they'd like in general people aren't happy with like just the force and the focus on events. But I will say that overall, the Aq3D crowd is overall a friendly and helpful bunch. I don't think I've ever seen a community that is, whoa, that's a Korit.
That was massive. Look at my microphone. All right, let's put it over here.
Microphone. Hold on a second. I mean, like this.
I don't think I've ever seen a community that has been as helpful as the Aq3D community, especially when I first started. What are Keone and Nintendo? What are your takes on that so far? And kind of just go into it a little bit, and then we'll, if we go over time, I'll move on to the next.
Still figuring out my thoughts on that. So let me see. Unless you got something you like to add to that, Keone, since you have the 8 years of experience with the AE community.
We have a very good and strong, loyal community. There's some of the great players that a community could wish for. It's a very strong community, and we want to make sure they're happy. Granted, it can be rough at times. I've seen like the mix of the best and the worst, but I know we have a lot of good players who just want to have fun and in a good way.
I'm seeing a couple of comments saying that people aren't maybe unhappy with they just want more story content. Okay.
Well, and part of that's what we're doing with Heartwood right now. Like Heartwood is a continuation of the actual story.
Right.
Granted,
and we thank you for that.
From the beginning.
Yeah.
Which doesn't help.
No, it's totally all right. By no means are you guys doing a bad job. I think it's more just players, they're voicing their opinions. So something
And concerns, yeah.
Something that's really like often, or that I've noticed in the community, is that there's not a whole lot of content being created outside of news. It's mostly news and updates that get big headlines. So do we think that there might be in the future a way to do we think in the future there might be a way to perhaps give content creators better tools, or maybe think of tools for creating content? I mean, we don't have to go with my example, but like creating film or machinima type making much more animated things. And this will go into another discussion here in a second. But what are the opinions about that, Keone and Nintendo?
When it comes to,
Well, I know we want to do.
Yeah. You speak first, yeah. I'm thinking about my response. Go ahead.
It's all good.
Well, I know in the past we've tried to get players to do more. I know in AQ Worlds we try to do like a blank screen so people can do their own like mini movies or take screenshots so they can cut out the whatever image they needed and put it into like a comic. Because we had like one of the J6's houses, which was also a movie theater, green screen. Then there was the famous white map. And I know here we have at least a green screen and blue screen with like the I think it's I'm blanking right now. I think it's join blue screen, join green screen, but it's only for like one person. So it's stuff we're keeping in mind. It's just like I think the main restriction why we haven't gone that is because this is also a mobile game. So we're trying to find a good balance of stuff that won't overwhelm the mobile users along with the PC users.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
That's a pretty good word
Sorry.
there.
We should have probably muted our notification going into this.
Yeah,
Whoops.
and let me see. The marketing that you make for like a mobile game at this moment is like a lot of them on the market nowadays like have a lot of their trailers become so flamboyant, but when you play the actual game itself, it's like different than what the trailer has to offer. And by the least of it, the one thing I do appreciate, oh my god, who is on my screen right now? Anyways, let me continue talking. Yeah, one thing that I do like about like Aq3D's video content for the, oh my god, he actually did.
Sorry, hold on. I'm just gonna mute everything for a second. This is gonna be a little bit of fix that.
Quick shout out to the one guy who decided to actually give me the Thanos snap. Right on my screen. Thank you so much. Anyways, but yeah, I would say like the amount of the content that like AE has put out in the past, like get Aq3D's name out there, has been pretty good. It's like on the right path, but I can understand how like given the scheduling, the priority list, how there's been a greater need to work on the actual game itself and only like post the update notes and the whatever else you can get out there. Also at the same time, it's like there's always like room to like make stuff, but of course it takes like time and dedication to be able to get like a well edited video out there, and especially if you're implementing like graphics into it, or if you're like tying it all together with fast-paced transitions like a YouTube meme. And also at the same time, there's by scripted stuff, I mean there are times when Archix himself like dons his armor, goes into a public setting, and just does stuff with cast members on screen. That stuff is like what will get people, and it's like something that has a nostalgic factor, because that's the kind of charm that a lot of old-time YouTube videos have had as well, and it is something, a kind of charm that any video content that AE puts out to like get their games out there like maintains for sure. And I think like what really gets people still into AE's games is like the nostalgic factor, since it's been around since the AE has been around since the early 2000s with like the early version of AQ. We also have AQ Worlds now. I've started off with Dragon Fable, and I had some pretty fond memories of it when I started out with it, and as well as MapQuest. But yeah, when it comes to content, there's always like some room for it. Otherwise, you could also find
and skeleton rigs for people to create content. We'll actually be getting to that topic soon, but not right now. One of the things I want to go across is sort of Areas. Most of the people I talk to, it might not be an overwhelming majority, but I've heard a lot of things that people said. Even though you got some areas that are like asphalt, they're 100, almost 100.
As far as user created stuff, that's a different can of worms. That's a lot.
Right.
I
Well, at some point, Nintendo and maybe even Keon will give our sort of our idea behind user, because I know that AQ Worlds actually has a player created shop, right? Played it very vaguely, so I remember that being a thing, which I thought was kind of cool. there are actually a lot of Steam games that do that for their communities that are free to play, like Warframe. I don't know what the deal is that they work out, but it basically it's you create a cosmetic item and they put it on the store for like $5 or $2 or $1 or maybe it's 50 cents or whatever, and the company gets a share of that, but they get some notoriety and some fame. I don't know what the deal is they work out there. That's obviously between them and the company and whatever their rules are for that. It's not a lot. There's a lot of hold on one second.
A comment about the lack of tools. There are a large lack of tools, and that's even for us. We don't have a lot of tools, so we're not going to throw out this like base level bare bones stuff to people and expect them to know what they're doing enough to bring it back. That's going to be like doing a outsourcing, and we've even tried outsourcing with another. Like we paid a company to make some assets for stuff, and they just came back horribly wrong, to where we might as well have just did it from scratch.
Makes
And
sense.
actually,
Yeah.
that got canceled. All that got canned. Like, just brutal. As far as coding stuff, I think that's more of a security thing. We've been burned too many times in the past tossing out coding jobs to anybody that could just turn around and do something bad with it. Then put you in? What, in the Moglin Mayhem? There will be Moglin Mayhems.
Also, I finally returned. Thank God. I was like crashing and burning. I think like
We were talking so much smack about you. You have no idea.
yeah, like
Warren said you looked like a hamster at one point.
bro, I'm sure like Dagger planned this. Like the moment he like snapped me, like it just he did more than just snap me out of existence. He snapped my whole stream out of existence for a moment.
I'm just waiting for him to hit me.
Oh no.
Keon, do you have anything to like add to that? You have your opinions, or should we?
Oh, I
move
got
on
a
to the
few
next topic?
points.
Okay, yeah, rattle them off, man. Go for it.
All right, with the overall story arc, that was like probably the first main thing brought up. There was a attempt with the NPC vein, but it just seems like while there is a foundation, it's just very vaguish. Not to say it was the fault, but it was just more how things were made. Like each area has its own story arc. And
Right.
it seems like story arcs were figured out first before we add it, before the main. Okay, how do we connect everything?
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed to be like the connection point is the whole crystal where Nintendo is on his screen to bring everything together of all these different worlds and add. And that hasn't been, I think, as strong as you guys had hoped it would be.
Right.
So there is confusion on that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well that's very good. One of the now this is a big thing, and people who are watching the AE dev stream or the AE Arctic Entertainment, mainstream, totally give your input on this, because I was talking with, Nintendo and I agree, Creative Life and I agree, a lot of content creators agree with this that I've talked to. And it would be cool if series. The whole concept is to allow content creators to brainstorm ideas, circulate around the masses, and allow the devs a lighter workload on figuring out what the direction new development should go in. And I know that kind of sounds bad with how that's worded. Point is that one of us, us content creators would get together, or even other content creators would get together. You would produce a video, basically rattling off it would be cool if, and you talk about story, mechanics, or literally any of these other things. And perhaps it could be one of those things where it's like, the devs, and I'm purely speaking out of what I think happens. One of the devs goes, hey, we're thinking about, for this new zone, we're calling it Death and Decay, for whatever reason. And we want to take it in kind of this direction. Well, then, they get the people together and they have the general idea of the structure they want to do it. And then you tell the content creators, like, dude, it would be cool if series. I have no idea what compensation. I don't think money compensation is necessarily really a good idea, because we're not the ones making anything. We're just saying what would be cool. and you get a bunch of different talking points, a bunch of different like, oh man, it'd be amazing if during this fight scene, this story plot and this arc spread from it. And you could sort of spread around ideas, and then the devs can go in and cherry pick, like, oh, I like that, I don't like that, I like that, ooh, I really like that, that'll work well with this, and that won't work. And I think it might make it easier workload on creating content.
Right.
As far as compensation, free codes, or whatever the new cosmetic package for us to give out to fans, if we're even like popular enough for that to even happen. I know Gold Raven, he would probably qualify for that, but mostly it's about building up AE, less about us, because if we don't have a good game to play, well, there's not really much for us to create content about. If so it all ties in back to Artix, right, or Artix Entertainment right now. Nintendo, I know you have a few words about that.
Regarding what again?
It would be cool if series.
It would be a what series?
It would be cool if.
It would be cool if.
Oh, have you never seen those before? I thought we talked about that.
I don't believe so, but like. But is it like,
okay.
as the title says,
I'm
it would
not
be cool
familiar
if
with that
Lay
either.
did this? Also.
Well, the idea would be to think out some of these ideas, and you would put some thought into it, and overall, like, I talked about it with Cass at one point, briefly though. Whole concept is you allow content creators to brainstorm these in-depth thoughts. You circulate that around. You get other players talking about it, and then it goes right back to Artix Entertainment, and they cherry pick what they like, or if they don't like anything at all, that's fine. Point is now they got ideas out there, and it might inspire new things to happen or to be involved in that.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I feel like when it comes to like, let me see. The most amount of times you would see the most amount of times you would actually see the players getting involved with any of the staff members is when like Artix and crew do their mini events where they summon stuff and you get event coins or the Artix exclusive direwolf armor for that. But I would just wonder, would it be like, can we like expand more upon that, and like how can we like what else can they do to be able to like keep players engaged besides these random summons that will actually get people flocking over to one area and these announcements that Artix made? I just keep them like, this is something that's been on my brain for a while, and it's really nice to like do this, to like give us an event of sorts, like a stream exclusive event, especially the times when Charfey does that to me by surprise. And I think there's, I don't exactly know the definite answer of how that can be expanded on, like the boss summonings for events and whatnot, or the scripted events, but something I just really still trying to find the answer myself as to like the expansion of that. And what else regarding player engagement? Does anybody else have any thoughts to add on to what I say as I ponder my next response?
Okay, with player engagement.
Yeah.
Is I get this a lot. Is they see the green name, it's like, oh, it's a staff member. Oh, they're gonna do something cool. Like they think, unfortunately I do not have that power to summon all the cool monsters or do the mini events in game. So it's sort of like, it becomes like when players meet me, it becomes sort of like lackluster. It's like, oh, dude, you just made him ban. I'm gonna go over that corner now. Stay away, please. No, it's not like that, but you know what I mean.
I get what you mean, yeah.
So it's like you want to do stuff that gets people engaged in the area, and I know that can be one of the harder things. Because different people have different tastes. Like for me, I would love just to make an area where I could add NPCs, say what they want and stuff, or like build like a nice epic home. It's one of the favorite features I had with Fantasy Star games,
Right.
like even some of the Dragon Quest games where it's like make your own town, but there are limits to what they can do for that. And then when you get into the replay content, I know I do a lot of Guild Wars too,
Mm-hmm.
and they have all their completed zones, and it's just like, okay, how do we get players to go back to these zones, or at least utilize that so it's not a dead space?
Right.
Then they try to do like guild missions to go find these odd spots, or just like, here's an area, uh, here's like the secret around it that there's another play level to it, which you wouldn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, how are you?
That's on the topic of player engagement. I know not a very big group, but a lot of players in AQ3D right now really enjoy PvP and want to see that expounded upon.
Yes.
I'm only going to touch it briefly as a point of reference. World of Warcraft, a couple other MMOs, Warframe, there's an incentive to play those game modes and have that replayability. World of Warcraft, you get better armor. You get certain cosmetic items you couldn't get elsewise. There are, stuff like that. That's very. I mean, we think of it as a minor thing, but when you go back, you're like, shoot, this is my 15th battleground, and it's only an hour. What am I doing? It does add a lot of. At least it allows for the player to engage and might even build more communities.
Mm-hmm.
But that, moving on from that, unless there's any more that we want to add to that, I think we should move on to our second topic of the evening, immersion.
Right.
There's one thing I wanted to add on to it. It was something I was thinking of,
Mm-hmm.
that, or at least something for the streamers to be like an access level where they can spawn an event in game.
I was just thinking there should be more streamer-friendly things that happen in general. Like, they're great if you're just playing, but if you're a streamer, like one of the things Kyle Ken back when he streamed,
Right.
he would do these things in like a dungeon. He would find a treasure chest. He would hold a giveaway in his chat to like say who he invites to that chest to open it.
Right. Rare chest.
Same
times.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
but like make it also like a rare dungeon. So in certain maps, maybe a rare dungeon spawns in the map. If you get there, or if one of your viewers gets there, then you can hold giveaways on who to give out to join your instance, and you can only get certain things from that instance. So it's like a.
How would you lock
Big ol'-
that to only streamers and whatnot? That would be the how would
It
it
wouldn't
not?
be only streamers. So the idea is that everybody would try to get to it, and it's just something streamers could take advantage of to push their stream. Because so a streamer's, say, you just got 20 viewers, even, you just say, hey, you guys scour these maps on all the instances you can. If you find this dungeon, let me know, pull me in, and then we'll hold a giveaway in the chat to see who else needs this item can come to this dungeon. And the dungeon would lock as soon as one person went into it. It would just, and it's up to that guy to like pull people in or do something.
Right.
It's completely, it encourages people to watch somebody so that everybody can find the dungeon. Then they can win the chance to, and we can multiply that across different zones and things like that. Stuff like that I think would be really cool.
Sure. Yeah.
I would totally be down.
We have talked about an item such as Vex mentioned up there, some sort of consumable that could spawn either specific monsters or random monsters. And that was something I liked out of Ragnarok Online. There was dead branches, and people would always buy just like 100 of them at a time, and then they would spam them, and they would just spawn more and more monsters. And it would start as just basic little monsters, but the more but the monsters would get more and more terrifying until you just had like a little army of just terror wherever the map was. Spawn more and more monsters, and it would start as just basic little monsters. Just making a class out of it, a class that can do that and remember, certain monsters and be able to spawn those as a skill.
Sure.
That type of stuff would be pretty cool. And then another note on the PvP thing, we are. I don't know if anybody remembers. It was a stream a while back. I was talking about a fun idea for uh, next Talk Like a Pirate Day, but it sounds like we're going to do this sooner.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be like a PvE, but it's on 2 pirate ships. And so the whole thing is like you're trying to sink the other pirate ship by boat. And depending on how well you like fight or something, like it changes that. Apparently that's almost done. We were ramp a lot of what we have to make that work. But that is going to be something that, people can, gear up, gang up, whatever, and try to actually have back and forth content. It's not super PvP, but it's going to be something that people can do over and over again and hopefully have some excitement out of it.
Okay.
Indirect PvP. It's like PvEVP.
It sounds very intriguing.
All right, so
Most definitely, yeah. I agree.
some of the so sorry. Or do we have any more like major points?
Not unless I am forgetting some things. I'm
Okay.
not sure what the other comments
So-
are going to be.
The next topic: immersion, player immersion, game, all that stuff. So there's this was a big talking point for Gold Raven when I talked to him because he's a very big mechanic. Like when I talked to him, I was like, okay, so let's talk about the game. And then for a solid hour, we just talked, and like everything he kept saying was, "Oh yeah, and this mechanic and that mechanic." I'm like, "Dude, I didn't even know that existed. What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, da 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 da." I'm like, "Slow down. I don't know any of this. I don't even pay attention to that." But so some of the things, music. The main points we hit were basically sound and dialogue bubbles. And Osmond's especially. I'm gonna quote him on this because is that in most. Hold on, I want to make sure I say it properly. I don't want to be caught.
Let's throw out
Yeah.
here. The music in most places was
Yeah.
basically bot stuff.
Yeah,
Sounds like
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Now that we have John Gar, we are having him do music for everything. So pretty much since Arken Grove, I think he was more hands-on all the music.
I think
This is
Arken Grove,
post Arken.
Arken
so
Grove is one
He's doing new music for this thing, the Heartwood, as well. So ideally, we're gonna start fleshing that out as we go. The main problem being music is not his only, so everyone's all over the.
Understandable. Well, that's good that I mean I hope no one else was aware of it. It's good to see that like that's something that's like being worked.
Yeah.
Another thing is sort of sound effect. I know a lot of the sound effects because I played this game when I was 10, and I'm sure everyone
Actually,
else did.
the same thing. They're all bought.
Yep.
John Gar has started doing some bonus sound effects, but it's just so slow. But
Well, it was just that was gonna be one of my points. Is like they're the same ones back from like Advent the browser, and there was no Dragon Fable, no Mech. Just
Right.
that sounds like. But again, also good to see that that's something that's being worked on. That sounds a big thing for me in any game. So if it's got one of the things that a lot of players that I know, I've talked to, they don't dialogue bubble skip, and a majority of them, again that I've experienced, that I've talked to, have said that they skip. It's not interesting enough for them. It's not engaging enough. When I did my ages ago, what, a year, 2 years ago, something like that. Dude, and then story for Ashfall. What do you mean? What is this? And they're like, I didn't know that this was here. You love them for the jokes and puns. Oh, we'll be getting to that. What's the deal with the? I don't know. That my personal take on the dialogue bubbles is there maybe a better way to? Would there be a better way to do the dialogue bubbles more so, I know World of Warcraft, unless it's like an important cinematic, they don't have a cinematic. They have the text bubble above the head, and they show the NPC moving as a normal player would. Is that something that's maybe being looked into? What are everyone else's opinions on that?
What a Century. Man, Century's working his butt off on his first cinematics since he's been at the company. So he's, I imagine, pretty stressed over it. As far as, I don't think that's going to change. That was something, that's just a style I think Artix really likes. He likes being able to pull the NPCs into this little thing where they can talk back and forth. In my personal opinion, I think we do way too much talking. I think there's dialogue. And find more story if you want, find more dialogue. But it should just be, it should be almost more effort for you to move your mouse to the skip button than it is to just go through your lines of text.
Right.
Right.
That's my personal opinion. I am obviously not winning this fight because our dialogues continue to just be super in depth.
Right.
And the cinematics also are incredibly complex. I mean, the ones we're doing for her are saying there's 10 of them, and they're like, oh, but they're not too bad. They're not all too bad. And that's why Century's like, oh god, don't skip the cinematics because they're so complicated. And jeez, yeah, they're just crazy. But I mean, old any and all bare bones story, and there's people that want dialogue for days. If you think of like, Final Fantasy 7 days, and or any Final Fantasy game, I guess.
Final Fantasy 7 being most relevant since its remake is coming out. And actually, yeah, that's like something I've been thinking about is like the different ways that like a lot of companies have approached old titles, like and what they could do to like make it better, as in the case with Capcom remaking Resident Evil 2 and into like a modern day a horror game. They've made adjustments to the story. They didn't just make adjustments to the and advancements to the gameplay, but they also try their best to also like get the story out and make the vocal performances of the sort of rewritten story actually appeal to the modern audience. And it's also something that they're currently doing with Resident Evil 3. And then we also at the same time now have Square Enix taking Final Fantasy VII's original design and story and everything, and then putting it out into the remake, which instead of putting it out in one game, they break it down into separable chunks. Like the remake that we're getting right now is just part 1, and then we're gonna get like 2 to 3 more games down the line, which includes like the main villain arc, the Sephiroth arc. Because in this day and age, it makes sense that if you have like a complicated story, that you would break it down to digestible pieces. That a lot of most considerably Japanese RPG companies, they've done that for Kingdom Hearts and notably other video game titles, that it would also make sense for. And part of that carrying that story does carry on through the dialogue. And one thing that really gives AE with Aq3D and their other games some credit is that the characters in the game, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and I actually like that charm about it. It's not something that you see a lot in a lot of MMORPGs, as they take things really so seriously with everything that's going on around them as to like what's going on. And if you throw in a breaking the fourth wall quirk and like make light of the situation sort of dialogue, then that actually makes the game a lot more engaging and fun to get into. The only other instance I see this happening is a now defunct MMORPG called WildStar, which was formed from Carbine Studios, and now
WildStar.
Yeah, WildStar, the sci-fi MMORPG that is cartoony, meant to be like.
So I want to bring.
Yeah, go ahead, Wow.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
right now I'd like to bring up Ozzy. Is he still going?
super
so
sure.
Yeah,
it's breaking down pretty bad.
Yeah, my microphone is my audio connection is very bizarre on my end. My apologies. But the last thing I said was about like when you're getting the players engaged with dialogue regarding the story plot and everything, adding an element of quirk to not take everything so seriously actually gets people hooked. It's like a charm that people get hooked onto for Saturday morning cartoons, like that kind of thing.
So I actually have a comment about that.
Yeah, sure.
Personal opinion. And Rain kind of sums it up in a way. Rain B00. He says that as much as I enjoy the jokes and puns, there are parts where he reads off and it feels a bit obtrusive for how. So that's kind of a sentiment I share as well. That there's some really good parts, and because everything is sort of like not taken seriously that often, I don't mind that.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem I have is like when there is supposed to be a serious moment, I don't feel like I could take it very serious. The only reason I'll use Ashfall. Ashfall is a very point about Ashfall. I didn't like really. Ashfall is the only, I think, actual emotional story in the entire game, because there's puns and jokes just everywhere, and that's not a bad thing by any means. I be a balance. I would love to see it when it's supposed to be a very serious moment. Maybe dial back the jokes and the puns. Is serious, which is not even Darkovia. Like Darkovia is littered with puns and jokes. I'd have to play the thing again.
I'm pretty sure that Heartwood is.
Well, and these are very old places too. But that is one of the things that I noticed about the story, and it's very unfortunate. Like Ashfall, to me, was single-handedly the best story ever so far, and.
Right.
It's the only one I felt a somewhat of an emotional connection to, but because I've got like puns and jokes thrown at me all the time, I'm like, I mean, yeah, Galanov died, but
Spoiler alert.
spoiler, yeah, if you haven't played the game in like the last 5 years, sorry. So,
But and that's something that I think we internally maybe not super torn on, but there's definitely a resistance to have the jokes in there. I think what we've kind of settled down on is, and we'll see if we stick to this, is funny stuff is good for like the side quest level things that are not main storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's just like a one-off, what is it? Like Pointless Isle type stuff.
Right.
Things are just off to the side. Jokes for days. Get all your fourth wall breaks out. Do all that kind of fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Main storyline, jokes here and there are good. They need to be good jokes, and like they should be. Haha, that's so cheesy. Like Disney Channel shouldn't be Disney Channel. So have the main storyline be a little more seriously, a little more Guardians of the Galaxy with the humor,
Right.
or just Marvel in general, and all that. Just say the name Corn, and it's the best joke you can tell. Thanks, Dags. Thank you, because I'm just so fun.
Of course, Dags.
That's what he means. I'm sure.
classic joke. I know that's what won me my talent show in 5th grade.
I want to put in something with the story thing. I remember playing in a MMO, Fantasy Star Universe,
You
in
mean
which I try to be
Phantasy Star Online? Okay.
no Fantasy Star Universe, not online. There's different fantasies.
Oh, interesting. Okay, continue.
This one, for its online story mode, it tried to do everything in its like multiple chapters. It like you saw the stereotype. Here's your comedy trio. That it's like these are supposed to be the Three Stooges, or like these are the loser characters. You had stuff that was supposed to be cute, and here's like, oh, here's your haha dialogue, or here's your one-liners, but they were also trying to be serious in a way. In certain times, it just didn't work. It's okay, you either had characters that sort of contradict it, or how you did so much with the other stuff, and when you're like, oh no, the story's getting serious, it didn't really work, or they didn't visually do it right. Like, they had this like alien who was bio-transforming people, and in one area you're killing off these monsters which are either bio-transform or they just are summoned, and it was like the beast planet, and you have all these powerful, tall, large beast players that could be very intimidating, and instead you're just killing these little chibi, cute, dark, evil creatures, and it's like, it just didn't work. So you have to have good balance when you're trying to spread this out, especially through multiple chapters.
Right.
If people get used to a certain style, they won't take it seriously.
Exclamation mark lurk.
Hi, how are you?
Is that all we have to say about place that? One thing I want to talk about, personal. This is a personal question, but I have talked about it with a couple of others, and I think it'd be a good idea. But is there a plan to maybe eventually get voice actors for the game?
Like,
Not likely, because it's a mobile game.
that's true.
We would be loading people's phones up if we log the amount. It would
Yeah.
just be sheer data override.
Yeah.
Phone.
Yeah. I'm like thinking about that as well, because like a lot of Chinese and Korean developed phone MMOs have become integrated with a lot of voice acting in it. I feel like it's become such a niche in the mobile market too. It's okay to have
Okay,
like
that's fair.
original like sound effects, like that one clip I decided to drop of like, what is it? Oh, and thank you for the follow, by the way. Harbs, thank you for the 4 bits as well. Like Nemesis Sneevil as like another Resident Sneevil spoof that I decided to filter the heck out of, just as inspiration from Nemesis from Resident Evil 3, because that also goes to like another topic of like doing spoofs, which I won't exactly get into detail much, but I can see where you're coming from, Corin. And they also have like,
Also, there,
yeah, Jongar's voice is in here too.
Okay.
plus
I
there's
just
ways
wanted
you
to-
can.
I wanted to see what the opinion about that was, because I know a few people have said that, you know, that'd be a good thing. A few people have said, not really, and then there's always that issue of the memory and all that. But moving on, I want to talk about. That's a very vague one.
Into another subject, I thought about trying to gear up May ways.
Something about mayhem. That's all. I heard.
Moglin Mayhem. Sorry, I have like all these filters on.
That's all good.
Moglin Mayhem is what I was thinking about getting going. Just gonna turn off all that.
Mayhem would
People
be
have to
a
hear my
great
band.
thing.
I can load it up on my end and just host them over here, and then
So
do a fun little exclamation point play roundabout.
We're actually moving a lot fast. We might actually have time for
Whatever works.
questions.
Whatever works.
Let's see. We went over music.
Oh, you know what would help? Is if I set a channel. Because right now it's just on a random channel that I tested on.
Nice. Look.
There we go. Now exclamation point play. It is not a new build.
It's still a lucky bag this month, right?
Still the lucky bag.
Yeah, just making sure. Oh, thank you for that last time too. Yo, Dark, thank you for the follow, and just let me know which one it is. So as soon as I'm done with this, I'll be able to help you out. Anyways, awaiting the next topic.
Right. So I'm just kind of going over it. Voice acting, audio, sound bites, music, oh, something I actually wanted to talk about.
By all means.
Is opinions on having there be split focus, because mostly its focus is mobile, because PCs, if it can run on a mobile device, it can totally run on almost any PC device.
Absolutely.
Is there going to be more of a focus, or should there be more of a focus into appealing to mobile platform and just entirely, along with graphics, along with design, flow of gameplay, the leveling, dungeons, raids? Should it be these quick little 5-minute adventures, or should it feel like you're playing through this grand story like a normal PC MMO does? I know for a fact you couldn't put World of Warcraft on a mobile game, but that's because they are a PC game exclusively. However, because of the unique nature of Aq3D, would it be better if it just went full focus into? Would it be better if it went to a full focus to a phone game that happened to be on a PC, rather than a PC game?
Ideally, what we're trying to do. The game is mostly, by a very large margin, like a stupid large. Most of it, I believe. PC, I think I just saw some numbers. It was less than 1,000, I think. At least as far as like the last month. But that's kind of up and down all the time, so I don't really know the number 100%. But man, people are playing this game on mobile, which I don't personally get it. I can't handle using my screen as an interface. I don't like it. I'm the angry old man yelling at change.
I feel you.
But holy cow, the idea is that we are supposed to treat it like a mobile game first that has a good PC port. So we do want to have at least some fancy options that target essentially higher end devices. And those will translate better to people that play on PC. So in that case, it could be higher res textures. It could be more complex. Oh God, what was it? Particles. And that's something that we are actively working on. We want to basically individual settings that even if you're on a mobile device, you can kind of set your graphics to be like super high, and if your device can handle it, dope. If not, turn them down a little bit, and it's still going to be a good experience. So I don't know, like also word bubbles. We want the word bubbles when you talk to go above your head. That would have to be. You guys are lame for adding this collection thing for the concert so late in. We couldn't do it fast enough the first time around. It only worked because it came back. But yeah, I don't have the money for a PC. It doesn't even have to be a fancy PC though, man. I think you could these days
you can
get
literally run it
easy
on
PC
anything
to play it.
You can do a
For the
tablet,
same
yeah.
price as a phone.
Isn't this game able to run on like an iPhone 1, like the first iPhone?
Oh, I don't know about that. I think it's 4S and up.
Yeah, it's PC, Mac computers, tablets, and phones for now. And people have been wanting to actually try this on a console, even the Switch.
I have heard talk about that, yeah.
That's going to
we were
require a
looking into
complete overhaul to the UI and the user experience, because we need to allow for controller interface interactions. And right now, it entirely depends on a mouse clicking things. Like we have no way of detecting what button you're on.
Yeah.
But that's because we didn't start this UI, until well before Unity developed these systems.
I agree.
So controller interface won't happen until we get a UI guy that can come in here and probably for 3 months just rework the entire program side of the UI.
Yeah,
And then that's where Charfade would be heavily involved in making things look pretty.
making things look pretty, that's her duty for sure. But yeah, I agree having the professional do that, as like having the way you intuitively use a controller versus how you use a mouse and a keyboard is like much different for sure. Hence, like why I decided to bring in the controller display on my streams, just for people to finally see how much more fluid it is for me to use PC controls than to use like a controller for certain games. Like if I were to do a first person or third person shooter, I have free liberty with my mouse to be able to shoot whatever angle I want. If I want to do an action game, then of course I would switch to a controller, which is a lot more fluid for that. And for Aq3D, it's like also something that like kind of relates to another game that I've been playing. Valor's also plays it too. Dauntless, which is like a free version of Monster Hunter, and they've, along with the PC port, I think because Phoenix Labs is another like company of their own caliber, I'm sure they also had a UI guy that had taken the effort and time to be able to rework the controls and the UI for PlayStation and Xbox. And now they recently ported this monster hunting spin-off for the Nintendo Switch, and now they are working on getting a mobile port. So this will be one of the first games of its own caliber that will receive like a multiple cross-platform experience in its own right as well, especially for a game with a monster hunting control mechanic, as Keone could relate, as Keone does play Monster Hunter World.
Yeah, and thinking back to what you were saying about the control interface, like you would probably like for AQ3D to go on something like the Switch, you would probably have to contact like the staff of Taria, who originally had their game on PC. It's on Switch now, so you had to assume that they had to change the keyboard control mouse pointer to like a video game controller.
Mm-hmm. Yep, pretty much.
Something I want to talk about is maybe some of the cosmetics and sort of filler stuff in between our releases, between like main content and whatever the next event is, a seasonal event.
Like this morph I'm using. Whee! And
actually, one of the things that Crossbones was talking about. Shoot, where is that? Oh, we'll talk about that in a second. Concerts. I was talking to Gold Reven, and Gold Reven was talking about how he doesn't believe that he's actually not a huge fan of battle concerts, and I was kind of a fan of the. I was kind of a fan of the first one, but then the next two, I just didn't understand or get, or I wasn't enjoying them, and so something I was talking about with him is that he pitched the idea that there needs maybe a shift in rock music, which even one of the things he said is like, listen, I used to listen to these bands like long ago. I don't care for them now. But it depends on where the market's focused. If the market's focused at an older generation who probably aren't playing this game on the phone, then I could see why they would want to have these old bands. But why not a focus on like K-pop or something that's recent and very popular with a younger generation? Because I mean, shoot, I vaguely kind of know of some of the bands that have been in the Actually, I haven't known any of them. The only reason I knew Breaking Benjamin is because I used to have a friend who was a heavy metalhead back in high school. So is there any like opinions or insight that we could get to the concerts, or
we were contacted so
bring in
the decision
to pick who we got.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
We were also pretty just excited with them. I mean, because a lot of us know them all. All right, and for everybody asking, I do have all your names. I'll be adding those to your accounts here in a second. I have your in-game names. It'll be saved in a minute. In the meantime, I'll let you guys load up for another one real fast.
Most of the music groups that you guys got so far are with Warner Bros. Music, that I noticed.
That was for Korn and Alice in Chains.
And then-
That was for their tour. They contacted us. That was initially supposed to be one concert.
Yep.
It was going to be 2 Korn songs, 2 Alice in Chains songs.
It makes sense why the arena
but-
is like shared as well.
We were trying to make it very apparent that this was going to take a long time, but let me just say, these concerts are a giant rift in the development team. Across the board, we overall like them.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, we know there's a time and a place for them.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And shoving them every 2 or 3 months apart when they take 2 or 3 months to build is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So we were getting super burnt out super quick. Financially, it didn't make sense for us either.
Yeah.
At least the first time. The Breaking Benjamin did make sense.
Which is what I'm doing
And
right
that's
now.
why we were like, okay, we'll do this one, because we were initially fighting pretty hard against it.
Absolutely.
But even still, it killed us, and it pushed Heartwood back further. And then as soon as me and Sentry were done with the concert stuff, we're trying to gear up towards Heartwood, but even Heartwood stuff isn't quite ready yet. So it's such a big wrench in the pipeline when we do these things.
Yeah, and is
That if we do them, it needs to be something we agree to, 6 to 9 months out,
Mhm.
so that we can start building little pieces of it as we go, not hurting our current pipeline, and then release it. Or we make it part of a release. So like the concert is, and I use this reference in meetings. I say, look, man, if we get like Ailstorm, who, if nobody knows, they're like a pirate metal band.
I know.
They did a pirate metal version of Lazy Town's "You Are a Pirate."
Oh, that's awesome.
So they're really cool.
Okay.
But I was just using them as an example. It's like if they come up to us and they're like, dudes, we're doing a concert and we want to be in a game, we should be like, oh, okay, well, they're a pirate band. Where should we put them? Yeah, this pirate island. Why don't we do a new pirate release? Chug! How time can fly. Hello. Good lord. 21 months.
Yeah, I can
I
like.
agree, Dax.
Mhm.
Bad hats. But we could just be like, oh, well, Lolosia, that's a pirate zone. Why don't we do a brand new Lolosia permanent release? It'll be a permanent release featuring Ailstorm for the debut. We put the band in different areas of the maps. And then when the contract's over, we remove the band, but all the content is there. We lose absolutely nothing. All the time built, almost all the time built, is for the end game. Because that's the bummer about these concerts. We built so much for the Korn and Alice in Chains stuff. That's pretty much gone. Like, technically, we can bring back anything that doesn't have a name on it. But
Oh, like.
are we? Like,
Yeah.
it's such wasted development time.
Yeah.
So none of us are like opposed to doing them again, but we want to make sure that it makes the most sense for the longevity of the game, financially, and that we just give ourselves plenty of time to build it and not just have it be built and then gone.
Mm-hmm.
We say Aq3D is in beta, but I personally think it's closer to alpha.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel
Technically
like.
beta.
Yeah, and didn't you guys also say in like the news that like by the least of it, the Breaking Benjamin concert is just a preview because the creatures that I'm fighting right now, you'll get to see them like later on in a later point and plot down the line. So by the least of it, that's the one plus side you guys got to this concert. And to the previous two ones, the only creatures you have liberty to using again pretty much are just Thrash and the Banshee boss, which I call it.
Pretty much, and there's a lot of items and stuff too that aren't directly tied to the bands.
Right.
But it's kind of not super feasible to bring them back just whenever. But I mean, that's just something internally we have struggled very hard
on the concerts. And as of right now, we're like at least 6 months, none. We're not doing anything for 6 months. And even still, if we do, we want to make sure that it's going to fit financially for the longevity of the game.
Yeah. So I'm like thinking like overall with like starting from Breaking Benjamin here, moving forward, when if you guys do another concert, it definitely has to like benefit y'all in the long run somehow as well, not just like as a financial and time effort, but also since you guys are so I'm guessing moving forward, the concerts are going to have previews of like stuff that's going to come out later on for the main plotline. I'm assuming, because I'm assuming like at one point in time our character's going to be in space, and then we'll run into Pulsarian and Eclipsion, and for some reason whatever point their plot is going to be, etc.
I mean, I don't know if they're going to be quite in space, but it could just be anything that we shoehorn it into. The idea is that we just don't lose the content. I kind of like it being similar to the PvE VP thing that I was talking about earlier with the what you call it, the the pirate ships. So if the pirate ship arena thing goes well, that would be another example. We could just have a dungeon that you go to from some weird area, and it takes you to this weird realm, and this contest begins between the two titans. It doesn't necessarily be a story content. It can just be like a side quest type thing, or a side, oh no.
Yeah, absolutely. And these arenas and the PvE like gatherings and stuff, especially for like Dage's Arena of Souls, are a pretty good like foundation for like what a lot of MMORPGs are known for, raid content for certain, where people would actually really go through these raids and actually get exclusive content that they as a team together can get together for these exclusive like drops for. And that's like something that's been discussed in the past, like raid content for sure.
That was a lot.
Yeah. If anybody wants to speak up, go ahead.
Something I want to tie into that whole, because I 100% agree with Corin on this, and I think that would definitely benefit the development of the game. Period. If you guys, as you're making these things, you make it with the mindset that these are going to be assets used. All we have to do is just take them, and we're already releasing content for our next thing. We're just incorporating whatever this famous person is into it. That's supposed to increase sales, or at least player participation. One of the things that I know I briefly talked about with you, what was it? It was 2 days ago? I don't know. Yeah, I think it was. I was talking about how oh gosh, why am I blanking on this now? Cosmetic stories. So like the only one that is really, really good, I absolutely love this. Whoever wrote it, again, big kudos to that person because they did a phenomenal job. The Fallen Guardian. I think The Fallen Guardian was amazing. Granted, a bit grindy, but ultimately I got a super sweet set of armor, and I got to read a bunch of story about it. Is there possibility that maybe you could take that same mindset for like some of these bands, or and use these next story, so for when you are releasing your next cosmetic set, because I understand that is your bread and butter, would there be an idea that maybe you could build a custom one of a kind only cosmetic set that releases for a limited time for a new area that releases, or for a one-time only exclusive event that's coming up anyways, and that sort of just be there? Would there be any like plans for that? And it's all right if the answer is no, but
when you say it, you mean like a permanently rare?
Yeah, I guess. Or yeah.
We're pretty anti.
Permanent.
We know they better for worse, because again, rifts in the development team over it.
Right.
But we do want to move away from perma-rare, so ideally we won't see that. I know a lot of people do like, you know, the idea of having something super rare, but it just doesn't make sense, especially in a game where, say, we just have dozens and dozens of perma-rare objects, and some guy has to load up his phone and load all those assets that he can't get
Oh
just
my
because
god.
years of people have acquired all the random stuff. Like, this kind of goes into the whole thing with the audio thing. We gotta try to manage it, because it's fine now. The game's small enough now that it's not a big deal now. The problem is it can be if the game continues to grow, you know, 5 years, if not more.
Right.
So it's just something to watch out for.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something that's frustrating because I know if we did an example from AQ Worlds, when you load up the page, it shows the Zombie Slayer armor set. It's one like, oh, here's one of the heroes dressed up. Unfortunately, that's a permanent rare, and in the past, I've actually was able to make it like a staff item for myself, a variation, and I wanted to share that with the community, but I was told I couldn't use that because of how they promised that. So if we did stuff like that, that could harm future item releases as well, if we're not careful.
Okay.
Makes sense, yeah.
Well, if we don't have anything more to say, I
I
think
do want to say some stuff on the music.
go for it.
By all means.
With the music, it's like a double-edged sword because while there's a lot of positives, there's also various negatives because you gotta hope that the band you're picking is relevant or still active. Like one of the bands that he's very fond of, One Eyed Owl, their main singer is currently on personal hiatus, which is understandable. It's no fault of hers or anything, but that does put us in like an odd loop that here's a band that we think is a good generation gap, and we can't get to them. And it's just finding someone out there who's like cool with the content being used in game and allowing it to be in game, because there's a lot of copyrights and stuff, and it's like intellectual properties.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to find the right people. Like I know in Japan,
We agree.
there's there in the Kamen Rider franchise, they had a band. They had a musician, Masuru Matsudoka. Like they were able to use him and his music for a lot of the series, but they like the trade-off is he gets to be a Kamen Rider. A few Kamen Riders instead. Like the one most popular was Kamen Rider Eternal. So it's like if you find someone, you're gonna probably have to make sure this is like a good commitment where they're cool with the sharing of the IPs and stuff.
Well, of course. I mean, that goes for any business practice. So my favorite subject that's going to be talked about now
Let's go.
is the last subject. It's monetization.
Before we do that,
Oh,
I think we got someone else here we should introduce.
I have no idea who that would be.
We'll just redo introductions. And people,
Oh, Kaiden.
I'm Corin over here.
I'm the Blue Knight Kione.
I'm the mushroom
Oh.
head.
Nintendo and I are streamers.
That corner way over there. That one's Valley.
That's interesting. It looks like, for some reason, it looks like on my end on Discord, it looks like Kaiden's microphone has been on, but I don't notice any audio going through.
Hello.
Hello.
There we go.
Hello, it's Kaiden, the invisible superstar, because I'm not on the video call, but I'm here. I just had push to talk. I've been hearing you guys. Great conversation.
Yeah, sure. And if you have like any input on anything whatsoever, since we're about to move on to the next topic, then what do you think about like everything we've talked about so far as you've been listening?
Well, yeah, I was about to, yeah, what I just put in the chat right there. Yes, I would agree with Kion. Go for the bands that would be the most willing to share their intellectual property, especially those that have something. Ailstorm was a great example, have something that will really fit with AQ3D, right? You have pirates. There's a lot of metal bands out there that have dragons as part of their image and stuff like that. But the player base I think, is huge enough that you'll have a band that will be recognized. And even better than that, I'm pretty sure if you get Ailstorm, all the Ailstorm fans are gonna be starting to join the game. They're gonna start joining the game, and you will see an increase in players. At least that's my opinion on that.
Sure.
All right. Cool bean. I don't know if Dagger's gonna hop on the mic.
Ahoy,
Totally good. All right, I guess that's a no. So we're gonna move on to monetization, and then after we get done with this, and if we have some leftover time, we'll just take hot questions, I guess, that if anybody has. I discussed this with, I think, Crossbones. Maybe Nintendo. Did we ever talk about a subscription option?
A subscription option regarding, well, because like the MMORPGs that are dominant in the market for subscriptions right now are World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, which is a game that shares the same trope as Aq3D of allowing you to play as one character, multiple classes.
So, well, the reason why I bring up the whole subscription option
Mhm.
is because AQ Worlds actually does have a subscription option.
That's true.
And there's content that you are able to access regardless, or you are able to access regardless without the subscription, but there's bonus content for the people who do have the subscription. World of Warcraft, you can play free up to like level 20,
Mm-hmm.
but in order to access the content, you have to subscribe. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, you can do dungeons and battlegrounds at level 20. I mean, it's not like you're just limited. I mean, you can't experience the whole game, but
Right.
you can experience the main core aspects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would think a option to have a subscription thing, like similar to AQ Worlds, might not be a bad thing, but you wouldn't be able to. I don't know what the pricing of that would be, like the permanent upgrade in 3D. Well,
I don't think we're going to see a subscription mode, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly,
Subscription models.
if like the subscription model were to be continued, it'd have to be on a well-established like IP as Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14 as it is already. And I think like Destiny 2 have had the same thing, which you get to a certain point in the game that you're done with the base game, but you still have to pay more to like access the rest of it. Of course, Kaiden has played Destiny 2, and we've all like tried Destiny 1 or 2 at some point. But like when it comes to like the payment model, if you're playing like a free-to-play game, a lot of modern titles nowadays have their own battle passes, or if it's like a non-battle royale game, it could be like some kind of exclusive package. In the case of AQ3D, it's like Guardian. You purchase once, you get the class, you get an expanded inventory, get more bank vaults, get some DC, you keep it forever, you get to access more items in areas that Guardians could. That's something that like is feasible for a bunch of players for a while until the Guardian tokens were introduced. And it's like the same idea of like purchasing a game, like a AAA game, and you can like keep that forever when there's a replayability factor to it. And considering that like you find a lot of players find themselves coming back to AQ3D after some time, even if they take a break, there's the replayability factor that they would purchase once and then they would keep on playing it.
Yep. And what you said about Destiny 2, it's kind of like that, kind of like expansions and DLC. It's not something you're gonna keep paying for. You purchase it, there you go. It's there permanent.
There it is, yeah.
all right.
And sometimes people just don't want to do that. I know back in my day,
Oh boy.
just like, yeah, back in my day.
Here we go.
Like, one of the things I loved about AQ Worlds was it was optional to do the subscription thing. Like, I did World of Warcraft, I did Phantasy Star Universe, and you had to pay like so much a month for them to keep the game up. And while I do the price comparison, that was a better deal to like do the optional subscription. A lot of people nowadays just don't want to do that, or they'll get intimidated by it, where it just scares them from putting that investment in. So it has to be something that can really grab them in, or at least they feel like they're getting their money's worth, which is the issue.
Mm-hmm.
If you're me, as soon as you pay money, you don't want to play anymore.
Really? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
I don't know what it is. Maple Story, it happened. Planet Side 2, it happened. Some other one. I'm trying to remember. It was a recent one.
I don't know. All the games that I have put money into is because I want to play those games. I mean, I have, I think anyone justify. I have over 225 hours put into Aq3D.
I don't know why it happens. It's just suddenly I just stopped playing the game.
That's fair.
Bums me out.
Yeah. Let's see here. Unless there are any more comments on that. Let's see. We talked about a cosmetic shop that is player created.
Yeah.
Well, one more thing I want to say about that. I feel that it can be done as long as you have a complete experience for free-to-play players. What I mean by complete experience, a complete story, and to get to a certain level that you feel certain accomplishments. It doesn't really leave you out from what other people are doing. It's more like an extra thing. Oh, here's more story. You concluded the story with death, for example. Here's another story that's going on. You can pay for it. Something like that. That's why I was really comparing it to like expansions and DLC. I think it could work.
It's definitely closer to an expansion because it's basically.
Is mic cut out?
Sorry, there's free players can do all kinds of. Why my mic is cut? Because this thing.
It could be a connection issue too.
Right here. It's like right here. Hey, where are you going? It's trying to go backwards on me.
Get back here.
Guardian is basically supposed to be. It's like side quests. You don't have to complete them. It's just here they are. They fill in the world. You get a few perks right off the bat from it. It's supposed to be like an expansion more so than a requirement. So that's kind of our thing there. And then the rest of our monetization comes from cosmetics. You know, we don't want to sell power because we don't want people with money to just be able to beat the game constantly. We want people to pay to look pretty and fancy in whichever way you want. You don't like it, don't buy it. That's kind of the ethics that we're going for on it. And a lot of that was just kind of based on trends we saw between AQ Worlds and Epic Duel. Epic Duel, like, they sold power for a long time, and it worked, but the game was consistently getting, they called it a power creep. Basically, you were only going to beat it depending on how much money you dumped into it or something. It was, like, really weird. AQ Worlds, power wasn't really a factor. It was just nothing but looking pretty. So we want a game that is actually balanced and has gameplay, which we're getting there. The pieces aren't all there yet. We're working on it. And we want just tons of options for people to be able to customize what they look like and stuff like that. So hopefully.
Tons of options for you to customize to, including being a member of both Corrin's and Dage's army, like me over here. Hee.
One of the talking points that Crossbones had, and I don't think I could do it justice, but he said we were talking about expansions versus monthly content, and I'll go into a little bit of the comments that were made. So like monthly content would be sent out a product at the end of the month. It would allow the devs to really build on it. So rather than I think this is in talk of I don't think this is in talk of like actual content. Well, the point is we'd rather, I think people would rather see like fully fleshed out content on a semi-regular basis. Expansions would have a whole area zones finished when pushed out, like we're seeing with blanking on the new zone. It's the garden place, whatever it. It's whatever the new place is. I can't remember.
Heartwood.
And
Heartwood.
Heartwood Forest, that's it. And then release expansions during seasonal events to allow players more story or something main to do after event. So, like during event that's got a quest line of its own, or that it ties in with, and you release that along with an event, because I think what we were talking about, or what he was mostly pointing out, is that like a lot of times you get these events like the Halloween, the April 13th, or not the April 13th,
Friday
the 13th, the season, all these seasonal events. Well, people grind, and then they have nothing to do because they've completed all the story. So would that be something that would be weekly content? Can be stressful for devs. Yeah, I don't know what the schedule is for their content to be pushed out. And if it is weekly, I would hope that they could maybe take a breather and extend that at least a little bit. So would that? Maybe...
I'm sorry. There's a lot going on.
Totally all right.
All right. Well, what is the
sort of just one of the things that we were that Crossbones was talking about is that release like expansions, so whole maps and quest zones during like whatever the next seasonal event is. That way you have that seasonal event that people are going to grind, and the second they're done with that event, they flood to the new zone or whatever it is, and they complete the quest or whatever it is you do in that zone for this stuff, and maybe rather than weekly content, it's monthly content.
That's not likely going to change. Artix is very adamant about being a weekly release schedule. That will change it'll change what a release is. Like a release is not going to be a fully fleshed out story zone. It should be something as simple as like a challenge version of a boss, a new dungeon that could just be randomly anywhere. It doesn't have to fit any seasonal area or new release area. It could just be something. It could be an armor set of some kind that we release, like Dage's birthday stuff. It doesn't have to be a crazy big thing. It could just be something. A raid, sure, why not? Once we get that functionality as far as adding a lot of stuff. Oh my goodness, I just lost my train of thought. The weekly releases. Going monthly is kind of how we're going for our bigger stuff. And again, the reason why Heartwood's kind of taking so long is that concert wrench in the schedule just threw us completely out of whack. But yeah.
My bad, my timer.
All good.
You guys are doing great.
I don't know. Any comment based on what I just said? What I just threw out there?
No, I think that gives us, well, at least not for me, that gives me a better insight to at least like the functions that go on that we may have not known about.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's pretty understandable like how like things are, how they want to be done according to schedule and whatnot, and it just makes me wonder, like, so Breaking Benjamin obviously was a wrench in the works, and it had you guys take a lot of time, resources, manpower, etc., to work on. Although the good plus out of it is that you can be able to bring back these creatures that I'm fighting right now later on down the line. But also at the same time, is there anything you can like tell us that can like give us a little bit of idea of like what content gets prioritized over another? Because like once you guys are done with Heartwood, there is still people who've been waiting on, let me think about it. Well, we can still wait a little bit longer for the next part to Alosia, but there's also the next part to Darkovia, and Ashfall is done, Dragon Graveyard is done. There's like a few instances of like areas that need some bits of completion, and it's understandable that you're reworking like the beginning parts of the area, and that you're introducing new characters here and there. Like in Westmere, you start to introduce like another enemy faction that Titan is fighting, and then you meet like a mysterious stranger somewhere along the line in the beginning of the area to any new players. I won't spoil exactly where it is, but it's like a character that we vaguely know, just like how we vaguely know Vayne. I feel like with like a huge cast of like possible like antagonistic or anti-hero figures that like I feel like the one that's being prioritized understandably as the villainous group that's being most fleshed out is Vayne and his Void army and whatnot. And then somehow the one area in the game that's actually unlike anywhere else is Dreadful's Labyrinth, because that's a spoof on Deadpool and there's nothing else like it. So I remember we've been having discussions about Resident Sneevil and that the last incorporation of that spoof was in Dragon Fable, and Artix is definitely totally down for the idea, and it makes me like wonder like, and it also led me to draw out the idea that like you could still design Nemesis Sneevil from existing like technical term assets, since you have like attack animations, and you could and Corrin could be able to take like a model frame from an existing like large hulking enemy and modify it, etc., etc. And it also, but at the same time, and you can also do like the defend battle on sort of situation like you did with the Frostlorn summoner with like the more buffed up Sneevils and whatnot. And this might also lead to incorporating like one of the unaccessible buildings of Battlon to be used for like a survival challenge dungeon, for as if any zombie games you have like a survival challenge, etc., etc. But at the same time, it makes me wonder if like any further spoof content is just pushed down the priority list due to whatever sort of reason or process that prioritizes one sort of content over another on the schedule. It's a lot to take in.
The order of like content tends to go holidays above everything else, because holidays, they're relevant in search engines. It's typically something we can push something out above and beyond. Just stuff like that. So holidays always top priority, and that includes things like Friday the 13th, because we can release our own scary stuff for things like that.
Sure.
Next is probably anything that we kind of promise players, and that doesn't always happen right.
Right.
Because we distract ourselves a lot, or something just comes up.
Sure.
So like the other thing is just internal struggles, because a lot of us want to revisit the early game, which is what we're finally getting to do with Heartwood.
Of course.
To just fix the early game and get that stuff going. There's not typically a lot for fleshed out things that might require a lot of models, like weapons. We have like a tool, it's like one of the few tools we have where our concept artists can create weapons, toss them off, I think, to somebody to have the UVs unwrapped, and then they just toss it right back to them, and then they paint it. Or maybe it already happens by default, I'm not super sure. So like weapons and things, we're able to spit sets of stuff out like that pretty quick. Things that require small animations, not a big deal. Big full character models tend to take a little longer. Those are a bigger load. Things that take full maps tend to take a bigger load. Things that need any sort of feature are an even bigger load. So anything that doesn't already exist in the game, big load.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have had issues before with our little server tick machines that happen. They were complicated for everybody on the staff except for one guy, Dagger. Well, I mean, I guess anybody on the programming team could have figured it out too. But, I mean, they're bogged down with stuff too. Dagger came in as a map builder, and as he started getting more and more used to the more technical side of all that, he became more of a programmer side. But he's still the guy that has figured out these things the most and understands the map building process, because nobody else seems to be able to wrap their heads around it or want to, for better or for worse.
Yeah, of course.
But that stuff is a hurdle as well, albeit a little bit less important now, but it just depends on who's free to do what. And again, like if Heartwood's going full development right now, our character modeler's bogged down because he still has to model, I think, the main bad guy, even. And that still needs to be textured. So, I mean, we're
right.
so last minute on a lot of this stuff. The maps tend to be the first thing done, then sometimes a weapon. And then, yeah, so just to kind of give you an idea,
Yeah.
it could be such a push-pull thing, and then God forbid there's something that like Artix just comes up with that he just wants to throw this out there, and we're like, oh man, all right, how are we gonna rework things? Or alternatively, say in my case, cinematics aren't going to be ready. They've been pushing for the last 2 weeks. Like, are the cinematics going to be done by this Friday? And I'm just like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
I kept saying you guys should come up with another release for that week because it's not going to be Heartwood.
Yeah.
And they keep going. What's the likelihood? Do you guys think it's going to be out yet? No, it's not.
Yeah, and understandable too, as in many of the streams that we see you working on behind the scenes stuff, that there's always at least like one frame of the animation that needs to be corrected, or there's a visual error sometimes, like the flying eyeball that Darkhold has noticed one time, and he went back and adjust that. Did I not notice that before? Oh, now I'm gonna fix it. But then when you pay attention to doing that for the animations or the cutscenes, or like even working on the little details of a new, as you said, like the new enemy, it's like you want to make sure that it's like all set in stone, which is understandable, and it's a necessity to do. Like, imagine if we get like Pulsarian over here, and then suddenly like you see his shoulders are starting to look whack and out of place, and you know people will be like, uh-oh, there's something wrong with this guy. And I think that's also something that again, I figure that like re-releasing Breaking Benjamin's concert is like also a last minute thing, because there's a bunch of people a lot of players who are sort of disgruntled by Eclipsion's travel form because of the waddle animation, in which they prefer a glide over that. That's like, I would say it's like a small thing if you like look past how amazing it is. It's always like the small details that people point out and stuff.
The Eclipsion 2 thing is it's basically a glitch. We animated the guy super big because he is huge.
That's true.
So when you scale him down, we speed up the animation for the walks, because you got to make sure that the legs, in a run situation, the legs would hit the ground and move at the right pace, because everything moves at one speed, period. So we have to speed up the animation or slow it down to make it fit, which sucks. I hope we fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like looking at it on my screen right now.
We just have to reanimate it. Yeah. We just have to retime it and then scale it in the, or I guess unscale it in our little database thing, and it'll be fine. So it's just something that we didn't factor in when we animated.
Yep, and I'm just looking at it in the screen right now, and well, I mean, if you could just like look past it and figure that it will actually get patched one day or another, it's still amazing to have as the end reward for building up your collection anyways. And speaking outside of that, wait, Corn, if you don't mind me asking, since I remember, I think we touched about this on the Discord, what does Jurgen do again? Because I only remember Jurgen's name being brought up once, in which Artix brings up Jurgen's name regarding scheduling.
So he used to be, he was initially brought on as an animator for MechQuest, and then he started doing the animation for Hero Smash, and then he became the game lead of Hero Smash. And then after that, he kind of started becoming sort of a builder person of maps / project manager. And I think that was for Legends of Lore, and then something, and then Aq3D. And so now he's basically the project lead for that, but he does construct maps. I think he constructed the concert map, just like the layout, I think. I'm not really sure. He constructed something fairly recently. That was pretty big. And he's working with Lusion, who's the main map environmental modeler. They've been working together on this pirate PvPvEVP thing.
Right.
So he's just kind of that type of guy.
Yeah, okay, I understand now. Okay, I getcha. Is there anything else?
He's supposed to be the guy that he sees what everybody's doing, and he can tell Artix if something's going to happen or not.
Ah.
Ideally.
Okay, okay.
In a perfect world.
Sure, gotcha. Makes sense. Okay, it's pretty good to know. Okay, I don't want to distract the discussion any further or so. But
No, that's actually all
That's
the
interesting.
main talking points that I wrote down that I felt like were necessary, or at least that, you know, if there wasn't maybe.
Well, there was something I was thinking.
yeah, sure.
Um, like there's a feature in the game that doesn't get, I think, as well promoted. The zones for the daily boss challenges,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see that that the devs can make a quick area of just like, okay, here's a basic stuff with not as much like, here's some quick content. Have they ever thought of just like, you know, like maybe incorporating something like that into the regular areas, or like, here's your challenge zone, and you can have like a monster spam zone with maybe currency or better rewards instead of, you know, hey, I'm just going to do the story, and it's like, okay, why do I want to keep going to here? Well, let's try the challenge area that isn't just like, or just like a farming area. Because they can show they can make it with like the daily boss challenges without being as overcomplicated.
Technically, reusing maps is a good example, and that was supposed to be something we did for daily dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, and the
I think just keeping up with the daily releases is what shoots a lot of that, or not daily releases, weekly releases is what ends up shooting that in the foot. Keeping up with the schedule, unless we just said like, look, this week's release is a few more daily dungeons added to the rotation. We toss those out, which, I mean, realistically it should be a thing. I don't know why it's not. There's just been so much else going on. There's no I don't think we have an answer for that. And yeah, this one's subs only for right now.
gotcha.
We'll do free for all
gotcha.
after.
Hi, how are you?
Yo, what's up, Erosix? Thank you for the follow. And what's up, Hotbox? We're just probably at the. Would we say the conclusion of our discussion for today, or if there's anybody else who wants to add on to something?
Unless there, I want to kind of go back over the what was our verdict on the whole "It Would Be Cool If" series. Is that just not?
I think it was cool, but I think I did miss a part in the beginning. Like how would that ultimately fit in? That was
Yeah, I would say.
supposed to be like player content within the main game.
Well, no. So the idea of it would be that it would be like, hey, we're releasing this new. I'll give you an example because Blizzard Entertainment did this with StarCraft 2 back when Heart of the Swarm was their second expansion.
Ah, Blizzard.
And they were kind of stumped, and they were like, all right, well, we're kind of in a bind. We don't really, you know, we need help thinking of ideas and how things would work. And, you know, so they're like, all right, we're going to select a few of you really, really, really well-known content creators. And we will tell you sort of the direction we're heading with this new stuff. We would like you to at least brainstorm in-depth ideas about mechanics. So they would go into like, you know, I want this unit to be able to do this. Maybe if they nerfed this but buffed this and gave it a different additional ability to it, and they would go on for hours talking about it, and they would condense it to like 30 minutes. So that would be kind of something that I think, I mean, Nintendo, Creative Life, especially, oh goodness, I think Goldriven would be amazing at it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or even Crossbones. You just sit down and you brainstorm ideas, and then we would send those videos to you guys. Obviously, it would go on our channel, but we would send those videos to you guys, and then that could, you know, you guys may be able to like cherry pick stuff that you really like, or at the worst case scenario, like, none of this helped. Or maybe it'll be like, all right, well, that won't work, but maybe if we like spun it this way, it could create something really cool. that's kind of and they call it "it would be cool if" is because that's kind of like how you phrase it. It would be cool if insert however you want the story to go, how you want map designs to look, how you want things to flow in dungeons. That's the whole point of the
I
series.
can see
at
that.
least.
Yeah, that sounds totally fine. Just throwing in ways to alter little things here and there. I mean, and again, it depends on if it's a feature thing, but really there should be like, there are no no's, I guess, if that makes sense. It should just be,
Yeah, and like I feel like the Guardians project for Valors is a pretty great start to creating like stuff that would actually like add on to the portfolio of like the
Listen,
yeah.
I got a billion ideas for the Guardians. I want to personally make a story just for the following. I love that character so flippin' much.
Yeah,
Like, I'll sit there
a
nights
good
on end
character,
just
yeah.
creating. It would be cool if insert super cool kick butt idea for Guardians riding dragons and beating up bad guys. Like I could do that day and night.
yeah, and you got like a whole like flash mob like role playing for you, and you don't see that a lot. Even though there are like in every MMO, there's always people who role play, and there's always people who create their own characters, like cater to role playing as them in the game. Like my original, Corrin had to like keep on looking up my original character's name just cause like it didn't match with my Twitch username until I used the dragon crystals to change it, of course, unfortunately. But also at the same time, it just makes sense because I also like to name my character in very bizarre fantasy-like names because I've done that with MechQuest and Dragon Fable because I also like to do some safer work wordplays, role plays, wordplay as well. Also at the same time, it's like you have that factor that will appeal to like a lot of people who can like join in on a role playing like and do skits for people. Like one idea I could see myself doing is if I write the script for a skit and get my friends involved, we could do like a sort of like Aq3D black and white thing, which is kind of which should be like simple to do. We just need like the text after every like emote that will convey what the characters are saying and expressing and whatnot. I could see that happening.
and I do want to be able to eventually throw out cool tools to allow people a little more control, like being able to, you know, run around as a camera, basically, so that your character is a camera and no interface. Your character's not there. You're just kind of, it'd be kind of like a first-person mode.
First person mode, right? Yeah.
Specifically for camera stuff, and maybe give you like a little bit of up and down variance, kind of like you're flying, just for the sake of
Wait.
machinima.
Yeah, like
one of the
the flying eyeball. Yeah, just give us a flying eyeball that can do that.
That
Well,
would be funny.
it's, one of the things that oh gosh, I was gonna touch on this. What was it?
Oh my god, hotbox.
Yeah, I think that's what it was gonna be. Is just the whole like, would it be a bad thing to maybe for the PC players, or at least the PC environment, encourage a better content creation style thing where you do have people who are like, trying to think, like, if they do want to do field work, or maybe they want to do, they want to play around with like skeleton rigs, or maybe they're trying to see how a story would pan out. I'm just throwing ideas out here. I don't know all the variables of what people would want to create or do.
Right,
But,
yeah.
Would there?
Yeah, you want something more than just the solo player and blue screen or green screen, where they can just do
there's
edits.
surprisingly a lot you can do as is. I mean, in making Guardians, you have no idea how many workarounds I had to find from, like, oh man, I really want this super cool shot of. I don't have.
I know, we need
I had to find a
practice.
workaround.
And the only thing that you can get like cool angles is if you have you could talk to certain NPCs to replay cutscenes, or you talk to the Guardian figures in Babylon to replay those camera angles of each district of Babylon, etc., etc., etc. Otherwise, like, given the liberty of what you could do, like, the only thing that can be funny is, in which case you could turn to a more speed up the footage and play "Running in the '90s" or some like spinning glitch that like causes that to happen for some weird reason.
Right. I mean, it's definitely an area that I hope we expand on at some point. I've loved the idea of machinima since like Red vs. Blue, and I would love for this game to have some of that ability. It's just it's not prepared enough for it out of the box, and I think that's what's so daunting. Our programmers are bogged down. We're trying to find some new ones. I mean, anything that involves art is also bogged down. Like, it's just all over the place, man.
Right. Well, I mean, those are all the talking points that I'm very little sad to hear that no voice acting is going to be in the game.
Well,
I'm a big voice guy.
Very
yeah.
Doses. I don't see it happening.
Well, the only exception is John Gar, obviously, because only he can say "check mic 1 2 1 2."
Yeah.
Yeah, I really
But
wanted to
I'm
hear,
very
like,
glad to hear about
you guys
the,
get Edward Bosco in here to do voices. That would have been awesome.
If we were gonna put in Nemesis Sneevil for Resident Sneevil, just put in that one dang voice clip that I just like placed in the Discord channel.
We're currently only looking for programmers.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Well, I'm very excited to hear. I mean, we had a huge discussion today. The It Would Be Cool If series. I'm very excited to see that that's something that that's at least being considered or would like to be further expounded upon, especially player tools for people who are on maybe PC. I don't know if phones would be able to support it as well, just because PC there's a lot more control you have. But that would be very exciting when we get to that point, and we understand that you guys are busy. I guess it's open to questions, and let's see. I wrote down.
There was one thing I wanted to say about the voices.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is a way you can probably do that. I mean, not in the main game, but there's a mobile game I play, Fire Emblem Heroes.
Right.
Where if you do, like, maybe you have like a section where you can look up the various NPCs, and you can have like a touch feature or a click feature, and then you can just do the dialogue, or you can do something like special for people. That way you get some voices in the game.
That's still information that people have to load. And Corin was pointing out that voice files take up a bit of space. And they do, sometimes, yeah.
The big concern is we just have so much dialogue that it's pretty insane. So,
I
wouldn't be as much though.
Yes and no. I proposed the idea that I mean, if you couldn't do full voice, I don't know. I'd have to look at the file size and the file size of the game again. But one of the things that is very popular, especially in JRPGs, is that, you know, it's sort of a joke, you know, for like the massive cinematics and the big, huge plot point where so and so betrays this guy and it's a big reveal. You know, they have super animation and voiceover stuff, and then, you know, it's like 2 seconds later they're talking to you and it has the little bubble text and they go ha, and that's their only voice line every time you talk to them. It's just ha, or a grunt of some kind.
Right, in every MMORPG they always do that. There's like a whole speech bubble, and they would say, "Yes, how can I help you?" And like when you finish talking to them, yes, and they'll be like, "Thank you, come again," etc., for merchants or stuff, etc.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff like that I'm down with. Little flares, just little bonuses.
Yeah, and like just have like get Artix involved so he can like voice his own character when he shows up, and you're like, "Aha, here I am. I've come to save you all." Oh no,
right.
Something's come to place. Wait, actually, that reminds me, regarding sounds and stuff. So with the Moglomancer, we have the sounds for We have the sounds for Zorback. We have the sounds for Twilly. We have the sounds for well, not sound. Well, it's the sounds for each of them actually. I keep on forgetting who is who now. Zorback, Twilly, and Twig, and then we also have the cross skill Moglin. What's his name? Blizzy. Were those recorded with and and like edited somebody's voice, or were those like stock sounds?
I'm pretty sure they were someone's voice.
Yeah,
But I can't remember who.
because I remember like, you know the Ebel Games website where the Flash mini games.
Right.
I remember there was like an episodic series where I don't know if Arctic's voiced both of them or somebody else did, but I remember there was like a video.
It was probably Artix.
Yeah, this is
Back then, it was probably him.
Zorback here, and I'm here to steal all of your candy.
And then there's like one moment where it was just like Twilly. It was like, "Hey, it's Twilly here, and because Zorback is sick today, so I decided to speak for him." I'm just wondering, like,
It was either him or Warlick, because Warlick was the sound guy back then, and he did a lot of random voice stuff too. And for those asking when Heartwood is, Heartwood Pencils Down is next Friday.
nice.
The concert threw a lot of things out of whack in the schedule, and we didn't get to the cutscenes in time, so we're working on the cinematics now. We're getting pretty close to the end, so Pencils Down is next Friday, so you should be able to see it the week after that, probably on Tuesday, assuming testing over the weekend goes smooth. So not this Friday, next Friday is Pencils Down, the Tuesday after that.
Makes sense.
I can get a date.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's possibly going to be April 7th. And I believe we are doing an April Fool's Day thing. I don't know what,
Probably
because
because
I haven't paid attention in the chat.
it might be able to like throw in like Dreadful again or like somebody else that's new. Because I also like trying to think like wait, has Warlick moved on to working elsewhere or?
No, he's in charge of AQ Worlds Mobile or whatever, AQ3D.
Ah,
That's just a huge project.
I can imagine.
It is a
Trying
huge
to do
project.
other stuff, it's just very time consuming.
Yeah,
Like you would have to schedule
is-
them like 6 months ahead.
it is getting work done now. So people are like, there is actually a staff going in to assist with updating all the assets so that they work in Unity, because going from vector to raster is a nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm still upset about it, but that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't even have to do it. I'm just like, oh, that's so much.
Yeah, because I'm like thinking if like going back to like the talk about Moglins and stuff. Well, actually, is the Moglin like the mascot animal of Arctic's entertainment games in general? That actually hasn't crossed my mind before.
Yeah, it's probably the mascot, Twilly in particular.
Yeah, because I'm like thinking because like mascots are memorable and people like know sports teams by them. They know other video game franchises by them, like Crash Bandicoot. You also have Banjo and Kazooie. You have the Moogles from Final Fantasy, etc., etc. You have the Moglins here in AE. You can buy the least of it, like besides whoever's voice was high pitched for the Moglin answer class. At least let them stand out for the marketing as well, and let them be the spokesperson for marketing the game.
Probably. I think Artix is still going to try to be the one. I don't know. We're in such like a flux as far as, you know, what the marketing is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey guys,
haven't
it's Twilly here.
figured
Artix
it
is
out
not in
100%.
today, so I'm going to be speaking for him. Have you guys heard of this new game called
mean-
Aq3D?
He could be. It's just, I don't know. We're all over the place. There hasn't been a solid direction in any of that. There's a lot of not English in the chat, and I have no idea what it says.
There's always not English because AQ3D has a universal crowd for sure.
We do, and that's a really cool thing.
Mhm.
I just wish I set this up to translate
Alright.
automatically, and I did not.
Well, we are totally 100% done with all the talking points I had. Yeah, it's. If you guys want to keep going and open the floor to just open questions, go for it. I need to take a break. I've been sitting down. I need to stretch my legs and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So I'll probably be
or a few of us need breaks. I still need to watch the Nintendo Direct that I accidentally slept through because Japanese time zones.
Nice.
Dang you, Japanese time zones! And then,
It's okay, man.
Mm.
yeah, I definitely need like a bathroom break for sure. I don't know like how much longer of Aq3D farming I'm doing, because I'm just winding down on the final bits of my Breaking Benjamin farming. I think I'm done Legion farming at this point too.
I just got an army of morphs on my screen. I'm like, I would love to set them on loose on something.
Yeah.
They wouldn't despawn the moment they attack something.
Yeah, I'm just like thinking.
That's a good question, Jellies. A woodchuck could chuck pretty much wood if a woodchuck could chuck wood. Good question. Thanks for that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's like,
We're the guild of the PvP. They are a long way out because, as I stated a few minutes ago, we need programmers. We are currently hiring for lots of programmers, so hopefully that stuff can get some movement.
yeah, and dang, if like anybody from Carbine Studios is based out of Florida, you could have like yanked them and just bring them to your office.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I kind of felt bad that their MMO that they worked so hard on, these were people who formerly worked on World of Warcraft. They like spent like so much time on it, and then boom, within moments, thanks to NCSoft out of Korea, they just pulled the plug, and after some decisions, a Wildstar ends up shutting down. But also, I just kind of feel bad for like this pattern that goes on with plenty of MMOs, is that if they go the free-to-play route, there's always going to be a crutch in there that will cause it to shut down, and it's pretty upsetting. Like a lot of online games that I've tested and played over the years that I liked, they ended up getting shut down. I know Fusion Fall with Cartoon Network, which was a joint project with a now defunct studio in Korea, ends up shutting down because that studio, like, unfortunately fell in the stock market during that time. Let me see. Hasbro originally had the studio of RuneScape. I'm sure plenty of you guys played RuneScape. They made Transformers Universe, which is meant to be like a third-person arena shooter that came out before Wildstar, which allows you to play as your own Transformers. But then, thanks to the executive decisions, same as NCSoft with Hasbro this time, and Jagex was ready to bring out, like, you know, a practice arena section, more PvE content with raids and stuff. That game just ends up getting the plug pulled on them as well, and so many different reasons that like cause so many of my favorite games to just like shut down. It's just very concerning of like the decisions a lot of game studios do. And now the next game on my list to shut down, Maple Story 2, because they made some Nexon, the people who made Maple Story 1, which is still thriving today, and I'm sure plenty of you play Maple Story as well, after making some decisions that I worry that, I think one of the decisions they made is that you have to go back to old areas to farm for like endgame content and whatnot, which is one of the factors. And after the announcement that they said they're shutting down after a couple years in service, 2018, that caused a major rift in players, and a lot of old-time veterans left. So that's like how many games? Wildstar, Transformers Universe, Maple Story 2, Fusion Fall, Club Penguin, of course, because even though Disney is a major money-making conglomerate with owning multiple properties, it was their decision not to maintain the servers for their MMO projects and not work on MMOs in general. And it's kind of feeling bad because it was like a $1 million investment or something that they purchased Club Penguin from the original guy who made it. And it's now gone back down the drain. People are keeping private servers up, and now we have people asking the original creator if he's gonna like reopen the old game.
All right, I'm gonna yell real quick at Karanurka. Programmers are not the ones building the armors, so people building armors has absolutely no effect on how fast guilds and everything else comes out. So we are hiring programmers, as I said, because you just yelled at me to hire programmers. We've been trying to. We're doing that. I already said it. Then also, the people building armors again That's fine. That's fine if you don't need the costumes and the core content. None of that is affected by. I have Google Translate on. They just said we don't need your costumes. We need core content. That doesn't make any sense. Come on, Google Translate. You give us costumes for 10 months already because the art side can build those. The programming side programs things. They're the ones that would build the stuff. And they're doing that stuff already. They're building stuff that has to go into there, but there's a lot of building blocks underneath that you don't get to see because they're not relevant to a daily release. A regular release, rather. So you're not going to see it. Give us level 31 at least. Why? What would that change? Adding 2 more levels isn't going to change anything, dude.
Or just make it even with level 30 for anybody with...
I get you frustrated, man. I get it. I get you frustrated. And I'm sorry that Heartwood's taken so long. Things got in the way of that. That's a bummer. Artix isn't happy about it, and none of us are happy about it. I didn't get the cinematics until super late in the pipeline when they were ready to release it, and I'm like, oh, I need like 3 weeks. That's not going to happen. So we're just doing what we can. And again, art side has nothing to do with guilds or PvP. Nothing to do with that. Everybody doing armors, that's their own thing. Daily content release stuff is not affecting guilds or PvP. What's he saying? Oh my goodness.
You have a lot to catch up on. I don't grind RPG games enough.
Alright, well, hey, I tried, man. I tried.
Well, regardless.
Yeah.
But if they keep spamming the chat with non-English, I can time them out.
That's true, yeah.
But in any
Regardless.
case, I imagine it is also time to start heading out anyway.
Yeah, I agree. All I know is I'm gonna need to like take a break first before I open up this Nintendo Direct. And honestly, Hotbox, like, there has to be a fine balance between you like grinding and taking like breaks in between, because while some players don't mind doing grinds, and the greatest example of grinding at the moment is Black Desert Online, which people say is quite the grind fest, and I got one of the free editions of it. I am not ready to sink my foot into it.
Same here. Same here.
Yeah, like, dude, there's a lot of MMORPGs that like get compared nowadays to how much of a grind fest they can be. It's technically traditional to that aspect, but like, what can you do about it? It's meant to like give you some time with these like drop rate factors, the random number generator, as they put it, the RNG factor, in which you have to ask RNGs to bless you, especially in the Arena of Souls at the moment, until like something new is there for you to explore or grind and whatnot. It's just all part of the formula.
Something I'd like to say, then I'm gonna head out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that I think that the talk that we've had was wonderful. I think it was, even if it was a little bit productive, I think it was a little bit, I think it was productive. But overall, the game is good. I don't think there's any like really bad things about it. I mean, there's like grammatical errors here and there, but you know, there's clipping. It doesn't matter. But overall, I think it's a good game, and I think majority of the people here agree, and they know that devs especially are working very hard on. And we're looking forward to seeing all the new things coming and the new changes that are happening. I know Heartwood is. I'm really looking forward to it because personally, if there's one thing I like, is a good story. That's a big reason I played Adventure Quest in the first place, and you guys knock it out of the ballpark with some of these questing zones.
Absolutely.
The story should be there for this one. Story should be better for this one. Again, it's main content, so you're going to see some stuff. This should be better. This should be a step in the right direction of like Quest from now on.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
And ideally, we'll see more in this vein of we'll see more in this direction coming up. But also, Dream. We have no idea how long this concert's going to be lasting. I don't think that's been decided.
Well, I'm almost done with it, that's for sure. I just only need one more travel form, and if anybody needs me to help, if anybody wants to...
I'll be right back for the final goodbye.
Yeah.
Oh.
If anybody's down for heavy metal farming, let me know, because I'm on my last bit of it. And yeah, Hotbox, it is a pretty cool game for sure. It goes from turn-based to tab targeting as per that combat formula. There's plenty of places you can explore. You could do parkour as well. It's one of the player engaging activities you could do, albeit it is a frustrating one that not even Artix himself could complete. Cosmetics, lots of different sets you can make, etc., etc. But
I'm just gonna be taking off right now, so you folks enjoy yourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
dude.
need to go take a nap, and then I'm gonna play some Guitar Hero later tonight. So,
Yo, dude, have fun with that. I myself am gonna need to
yeah.
take a break. I'm gonna be booting up the Nintendo Direct. I'm not so sure if I'm gonna be playing any more Aq3D. I might switch to another game, but hey, fall damage.
tell you what,
Will fall damage be implemented? That's a good idea.
in this game, no.
Nah, definitely not.
Nah.
I will
Superhero
say,
push
I'm
landing.
gonna point this out now.
Come on.
You're never gonna
Renee
see
Parpor-
this many people in the same stream together, ever.
Not again.
It's not happening. We're all gonna die after the except
Whoa,
the
whoa,
devs.
whoa,
They're
whoa,
not
whoa,
gonna
whoa!
die.
Hold up.
What? You signed the
No,
contract.
Ken, please,
You
not that
have to
again.
die after the stream is done.
No, I would prefer to have be a sparring target for Artix's daughter. Remember?
All right. Oh yeah, I heard. I saw that video that you were telling me about.
Yeah,
this.
that was like the time where we had the most amount of people in a voice chat, and this is that was one of the occasions Artix just hopped on it.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I'm signing off. So you guys take care. Enjoy yourselves.
You too, Valor.
Take care, Valor.
Take care. Bye bye,
Yeah.
guys.
Take it easy, Valor. All right.
Got him on.
All right. So who is left on the hit list? Oh, okay. Why am I saying hit list?
Uh-huh.
We're-
All right. What's next on your agenda, Keone?
I'm pretty much open. I mean, I can take a break.
I think
Yes,
all of
I
us are
gotta
going to
get
be
some
taking
fun.
breaks, but also at the same time, like, hold on, let me check the multi-stream first for a second. Is Corn raiding anybody? Because
Could.
I don't know who he's raiding. I mean, if he raids me, I can
I
keep going.
I don't think there was a
I just
set
don't.
thing, so
I think honestly, just don't do me again. Just go for it. Wait, hold on. Who's left online? I mean, so far it's just Clark is online with a PvP session. If anybody's interested in PvP, I'm gonna be taking a break. Valor's is taking a break. I don't know what Keone is doing, but you got options, man.
Yeah, I can take a break after this. I can keep going because I know I was not trying to over jump you guys in the discussion, so
That's
it was
true.
like a little difficult.
Keone, also, honestly, I feel like every time you talk on stream, I feel like you need to take a break from life in general.
I don't know if
It's
M.
probably
Clark
true.
is vetted via Creators Alley. I don't know if we know that yet. Does anybody know?
The Creators Alley?
M. Clark. I don't know if M. Clark was cleared on
I am
rating.
not so sure yet, because Leon usually takes care of
I don't think so.
clearing
Alright.
people's channels. Yeah, as I've noticed, we've been having like a rise in people stream. Clark is in Yogar's in right now doing his PvP event, and then there's just Keone and me. But I think Keone and I are going to be taking breaks. So I think your best bet might be Clark if you want to get players involved in something, as Clark is right now doing a scheduled event with his community.
Yeah, because I know he was trying to do a scheduled PvP. We discussed that. With
I just don't
him.
know how his content is because I know we don't want to send it to people who might be a little vulgar.
Oh,
Yeah, unfortunately,
so I
the
don't
other
know. I just don't
people
know.
I see on mine for general games, it's like,
I
there's
think
some
we can
good
just wrap
ones,
it
but
up.
there's
We can just wrap it up at this point. If you guys are going to be taking breaks, then we can just move on.
yeah, because I should take a break because I have a friend who wants to play a bomb disarming game later.
yeah,
and I gotta set up.
yeah.
Sounds good. Well, thank you everybody for tagging in. This has been quite the interesting discussion, and we will hopefully do this again. If you guys want to take notes on what all we came up with, or formed any other questions as a result, or came up with more suggestions, we can try to go over those as well. But in any case, this has been pretty crazy.
Down to folder.
This has been pretty crazy. I thought your name is Corn.
Hey, you got me. You got me good.
Hey, you're the dad here. I thought you're the one with the dad jokes.
So yep, this has been Valor's Voices, Miltendo, Keone, and I think
Kaiden.
Kaiden's in here.
Kaiden?
Yep.
There's another one. in
Kaiden.
there.
Kind
Who else is in
of
there?
Dagger's lurking. Charfade's
Dagger's
around.
lurking. Charfade's lurking. All right. We'll go ahead and wrap this up here. You guys have a fabulous time. Stay safe. Wash your hands.
Always wash your hands.
Stay quarantined, maybe. Don't get sick.
All right,
And
We're doing our best not to.
are you doing the raid?
I'm just gonna end the stream. I think.
All right.
I don't want to risk it. Don't want to risk it for the biscuit.
All right, no problem. And
Okay.
for
yeah,
anybody
we'll just do the
who's
same.
for anybody who's heading out of Artix Entertainment's channels, if you guys like to go ahead and check out M Clark TV, they are currently doing a PvP event right now. Keone and I are going to be taking breaks as we have stuff on our agendas, our own individual agendas that we're going to be doing for the rest of today. And hope you guys enjoy the discussions that we've had today, and I hope y'all have a good one, and we hope to see you guys in game too.
All right.
Take
it easy,
care, everyone. Be great.
Stay
Be
shining.
friendly.
Stay
Stay
here.
safe. We love you. We'll do more with you later. It's just like trying to be balanced with the conversation.
All right. Adios.
All right, who is
My side has ended.
And my side is about to head into intermission and about to change the category. I'm gonna remove my hands. Hotbox, no, don't do that, fam.
All right. I gotta go address the child. Whatever this is.
Yeah, do what you gotta do, fam.
All right, guys. Good talk. Send any messages in the bed, I guess, if necessary, and then we'll go over more later.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Thank you guys for hanging out. That was fun.
Thank you for having us.
Later.
Let me see what. I'm the bad box. Duh. Duh, duh, duh,
Alright.
duh, 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 duh. Thank you for the follow, Chase Godzilla.
All right, I'll be heading out of the voice chat too.
You gonna be streaming
I need
later?
a bio break as well. No, for today. Not for today.
Okay.
My Thursdays have changed now.
Gotcha.
But I may be hopping around there, Milton. All right. Good to chat with you guys. I'll see you next time.
Yeah, it was good chatting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope to see y'all on your next streams as well.
Oh, definitely. I just wish I could have gotten a little bit more in the conversation. It was just a little difficult because I didn't want to interrupt you guys. And if I left like voice chat on, I feared like it would over.
Yeah, I think like the major mishap that like really threw me off was when like Dagger just hopped in, snapped me out of existence, and then somehow that snapped my stream out of existence for a brief moment.
I'm like, oh crud, he's watching. He's gonna get me. He did get me.
We have to nerf Dagger.
I'm like-
We have to nerf him.
I have means to somewhat nerf him, but I'm not permitted in public to use them.
Oh my god. Yo, Dage, thank you for coming on in and dropping, I think, an alt follow. As in the good old Kaioken days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this was very productive. It was good to get all the inputs and
Oh, shoot.
answers from the devs.
Yo, I need to drop an air horn because we reached our current follower goal. Maybe some kind of giveaway or something at 1500, but that's gonna be a while away anyways. Looking to improve the quality of the streams first, not just in Aq3D, but outside of other games I like to stream. Oh yeah, there's something I'm doing this weekend too. I'm gonna work on that.
Yeah, I know my project is to make a nice Discord. Just like do the fun games I like because I'm playing them. Maybe I should just stream along and see people watch. That's awesome. If not, I still get to play fun games. You
Absolutely.
gotta do what you like. Alright, you take care, Nintendo. Enjoy the Nintendo Direct. There's a lot of good stuff with it from the half of it I've seen so far.
You still have to watch the rest of it?
Yes,
Well,
I got through half before I was like, oh, we gotta get ready for this.
can you ask a question before? Do you want to ask Keone a question, John?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, if you have like a particular question, I mean, it's just the both of us right now, but we're pretty much wrapped up on our discussions and we're both about to take breaks. But yeah, if you have anything to ask, just... Oh, you're asking me in general. Oh. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Drop the pickles at Hotbox.
What kind of merch? I don't have any yet. That's a pretty good question, though. But I would be looking to stickers at least, and designer pillows or mugs. A shirt maybe with the logo and stuff. Anywho.
Yeah, because you can do your own individual art.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about copyright.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And I have to like figure out like where else we can allocate like a merch store to, because Streamlabs has implemented their Streamlabs Prime program, and we already have Amazon Prime here, and it's like, how much more subscription services do we want to do in this household?
Yeah. All right, you take care. I'm gonna head out.
Yeah, you too. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and play an ad break, and we'll be right back with the Nintendo Direct for today.